Hello, darlings. I am Cassandra Sturges. Welcome to my channel, Authentic Beauty Handmade Dolls and Crafts. In this video, I'm going to tell you why there is a 6'7" life-size Jesus who sits in my living room that I made. Well, I want to tell you my Jesus story. I'm quite sure, I don't want to say everybody has a Jesus story, but I'm quite sure people have, different stories. But I am going to share with you my Jesus story. Well, one of the things is that a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, some people, African Americans, have criticized me because they want to know, why did I make Jesus white? Because they say that the Bible say that he has, bronze skin and sheep, I think like wool hair. I don't remember, guys. But I know a lot of people feel like, how could you, an African American woman, make a Jesus that looks white? Well, I want to tell you why I made Jesus, and it has nothing to do with his skin color for humans, just for Cassandra. So when I was a little girl, I think I was maybe about 10 years old, I went to church, and it was Easter, and my family is Baptist, and the pastor said that, whatever you ask in the name of Jesus, that it would happen. Like, it would, all you have to do is ask. And like at a Baptist church, the pastor is like dancing up and down the aisle. He was like, all you got to do is ask in the name of Jesus. And, whatever it is you want, it will come true. And I'm a little kid, and I'm thinking like, what? Like, wait. You mean to tell me that all I have to do is ask in the name of Jesus, and whatever I want is going to come true? I was like, when I get home, Jesus and we got to have some serious conversations. I have a list. Santa Claus has nothing on the list that I have for Jesus. But anyway, on the mantelpiece in our home, there was a crucifixion. There was just like this little card. It was about this big. And, Jesus' hands was open like this. And, it had like the blood, and it was just a picture of Jesus. And it looked like this Jesus here. And it was just on the mantelpiece in our home. And I took that little piece of paper. It was like, it looked like a postcard. And, but first I got to preface the story. So let me go back for a second. So when I was about 8 years old, I was sewing some clothes for my Barbie doll. And I lost the needle on the floor, and I was crawling around looking for the needle. Well, the eye of the sewing needle broke off in my left knee, like it was missing, and my knee swole, and I was getting ready for school one morning. I was limping. My mom took me to the doctor, and they said that my knee had gangrene. And they did an x-ray, and they found that the eye of the sewing needle was lodged under my kneecap. And so they were unable to remove the needle from my knee. It's still there. And they said that they were trying to save my leg because they told my mom that they thought they were going to have to amputate my leg. So I had about 3 or 4 surgeries on my leg, and I had this big machine that was next to my bed, and it had these tubes coming out. I had tubes in the back of my knee and in the front of my knee, and you could just see them like this drainage coming from my knee. And I had a cast. Anyway, I went through a lot, and I just remember I overheard them telling my mother that, she's really young, and if we could just save her leg, that is our goal. But at some point, they were going to try to remove the needle, but they told my mom that I would have to walk with a cane or a walker for the rest of my life, like some type of, some type of walking aid. So they made the decision to leave the needle, the eye of the needle, under my kneecap. And they said, let's focus on trying to save her leg and removing the gangrene. So like I said, they went in several times because there were so many complications. So that was pretty much the story. So I was tutored for pretty much most of the 4th grade because I was in the hospital for a very long period of time. And after the surgeries, I couldn't bend my left knee. My left knee did not bend at all. It was just so when I walked, I would kick my left knee out, and I would kick my left leg out to the side and walk. And I was, kids they were calling me crip and peg leg and cripple, just all kind of things. But I don't know why that didn't really bother me. But after this, so my leg was just straight. But I remember I have this scar on my knee still to this day. Back in the day when they would do surgery and it looked like a caterpillar. So I have a caterpillar all the way down my left knee in the front and in the back. And you can see where the holes were to drain the gangrene off of my knee. So after I'd had the surgery, I wouldn't wear any of my shorts or my dresses anymore. And I was at the laundromat with my mom, and I told my mother, I said, "Ma, you should just throw away all of my shorts because I'm never going to wear shorts again." And my mother said, "Sandy, if you knew how hard the doctors tried just to save your leg, you wouldn't care what anyone thought about the scars on your knee." And even though I was probably about 9 or 10, I just thought, that's profound. I looked at my leg and thought, I'm just lucky to have this leg. So anyway, after church, let's go back to church. So I'm in church. It's Easter Sunday. And the pastor is saying all you have to do is ask in the name of Jesus Christ. And, and that Jesus will come through for you. And so I got the picture. Well, before I went to the hospital to have the surgery on my knee, my uncle had bought me my first bike. I love this bike. It was just a beautiful bike. It was gold and green and pink, kind of like a faded color. And I had really never had a chance to ride the bike because of the injury to my knee. And I used to look at my bike and think, all I want to do is ride my bike. Now I would just have a lot more things to ask for. But as a kid, after church, I thought, you know what? I just want to ride my bike. That's it. I just want to be able to ride my bike. So I got the little postcard of Jesus, and I put some rubber bands. I put it on my knee, and I put rubber bands around the little postcard of Jesus. So I had 3 or 4 rubber bands around the postcard on my knee. And I took my bike outside, and I just said, in the name of Jesus Christ, I just want to ride my bike. I kid you not. My knee actually bent that day. My knee bent. And I could feel it and I don't know if it was a placebo or if it was, just because I knew Jesus had the picture. I don't know, but I'm telling you, my knee bent that day to ride my bike. And I was so happy, and my parents was happy, and they were crying, and everybody was so excited. But the thing that really changed my life was the thing I didn't even ask for, was I didn't have to walk or run anymore kicking my leg out. So I was able to ride my bike, and I was able to walk like a normal person. And that is my Jesus story, okay? So when people ask me, why did you make a white Jesus? I didn't, as a child, I wasn't thinking about being politically correct or what color is Jesus. And I just, I just love Jesus. I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? It wasn't a conscious decision of race. And I still have a story about that. So anyway, that's my Jesus story. And I want to share like why this 6'7" Jesus is in my house. Like Jesus is like super tall, and he's just full. I made him, and look at this hair, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. This was a big job. And then I put his beard on, and I made this gown, and I put like the little, I'm not sure, the little heart here. You know what? I'm having a hard time. I want to keep Jesus' face in focus, so I don't want to, you know, get out of focus to show you everything. But so I want to tell you about this Jesus. So ever since I was a little girl, you know, because of church and what everybody said about, you know, all you have to do is, you know, ask in the name of Jesus, and I was able to ride my bike from that point forward. Anybody, my left knee, it doesn't bend all the way, and it has not bent. I'm not sure if this is proper grammar, but it has not bent any further since that day. But I can ride a bike, and I can walk and run. So, as a little girl, you know, I went to church, and they talked about the crucifixion, and you know, what happened to Jesus, and Jesus on the cross, and how he was saying, you know, Father, Father, why have thou forsaken me? Like, I mean, I know people have their interpretations. I'm just telling you my perspective as a young child. And I'm thinking, you know, I know they were saying like, oh, this is God's son. He sacrificed his only son. I'm thinking God is pissed off. God got God's son down here. I know that's bad grammar. And got him on a cross. And this and this ain't right. You know, I'm thinking this as a kid. So I was always fascinated with, what if I was God and I sent my son to save these beings, and they decide they're gonna, you know, like hurt him or put him on a cross because he's, you know, performing miracles and feeding people and helping people. I don't think I would be happy. Like, that's just me, you know. Hey, I'm just being honest. So anyway, back to the knee. So after they saved my leg and I was able to walk again, I never touched a needle and thread again. Like, excuse me. My mother said that she kept saying, Sandy, if you want to sew again, you can sew again. Like, you don't have to be afraid. She said I would look at my needle and my little fabric and my dolls, and she said, She said I would just look at them like with this really sad look, but decided that I just couldn't risk that mistake again because I was just so afraid because of what I had gone through with my knee. So put all those things away from the time I was between, let's say, 8 years old when this accident happened with my knee. Now I'm in my 50s, and about 8 years ago, I would say about 8 years ago, I kid you not, I am driving to work, and there are these big trees, and I felt like I was seeing these beings, like these women who were riding like elephants and hippopotamus, and I'm not kidding, and giraffes. I mean, I know you've seen well, I don't know if you have, but I made this life-size giraffe. I don't know if it's a life-size, but I know that it reaches the top of almost to the roof of my home. But anyway, these women were riding around, and I felt like the earth was trembling. So, I mean, they just came to me. So this is all started happening, and I started making dolls, but I didn't know who these dolls were. And then over time, these dolls revealed to me their story. So I had a dream, literally, the Jungle Beauty goddesses. They came to me. The whole entire story came to me in a dream. And I will remember waking up, and there was like God. And in my dream, God was like all black, and there was these girls who was riding on his cape, you know, maybe too much TV, it looked like a cape or this long robe, and they were saying, Daddy, 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 we want the pretty blue ball, Daddy. And I tried to go back to sleep, but the dream was so vivid that these little girls were you know, riding around in space like through the stars, and there was the spiral, and you know, everything that I ever seen about, I mean, this dream was so real. Daddy, we want the pretty blue ball. Pretty blue ball? What is the pretty blue ball? Long story short, could not go to sleep, woke up and wrote the entire, my first book, The Jungle Beauty Goddess, and the first book is called Pretty Blue Ball. And it's just about how they, you know, they were given the planet. But let me just tell you to catch the story, because I don't want to bore you. In my story, God and his wife, whom I would like to call Divine Mother, all of the deities throughout time and space and all universes were brothers and sisters. Like if you're Shiva or Buddha or Kuan Yin, any deity, they were all siblings, and they were all given like their own planets and their own beings to take care of and to nurture and support. And in my story, and this is what happened in my dream, the mom was pregnant with the Jungle Beauty Goddesses when Jesus was being crucified on his planet. And because Jesus was being crucified, they started to ponder whether or not human beings needed a deity or needed a god or needed help anymore, because the beings were, you know, becoming more sophisticated. So they were so devastated and traumatized by what happened to Jesus that the parents, God and his wife, Divine Mother, decided that the Jungle Beauty Goddesses would be the last deities to ever exist in all time and space. And so I have book 1 that goes through the whole story, and I've completed book 2 that, you know, talks about what, you know, I don't want to spoil anything, but if you're interested, there's a link in the description box where you can purchase the book. And then I'm on book 3, and the book just really talks about what's happening on the planet. Now, what's interesting about this book is that when I am writing this book series, I you know, something is coming through me. I have no control over it. And one of the things that I predicted was that people, and I'm quite sure other people probably said it too, but I'm just saying what came through in the book, in book 3, is that people, the number one way to leave this planet would be suicide, because, you know, technology, and we can say, you know, lives, but people would want to leave the planet because of the way humans are treating each other. So even though we look at it as suicide, it's really, some beings are just too sensitive, and they just feel like planet Earth has become a place that is unbearable. So I hope that, you know, I don't know what, you know, I make dolls, and I'm quite sure if you've seen any of my dolls on my channel, I love making dolls, but I wanted to share more of their stories and tell you a little bit about who they are. And this is my Jesus, and I love Jesus. So anyway, I know there's a doll inside of you who is just dying to come to life, but only you can breathe life into her. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.